Hey everybody, it's Dalton. I want to talk to you about, probably one of my favorite baits is a chatterbait. If you watch MLF, Bassmaster, that kind of stuff, you see that a bladed jig is used now at just about every tournament, particularly if you've got wind or cloud cover. Before I get to the chatterbait, there was a couple other things that worked pretty well for me this morning. I had some good wind this morning, so I fished shallow up against some rocks and I threw a Strike King 2.5. Just a little square bill. Got a bunch of bites on that. The other bait that got me a few bites, and I haven't thrown it in a long time, is just a little hair jig. This is just a little Spro, half-ounce hair jig. Typically I like them to be about 6 inches, a lot more hair, but this is the only one I had, so I got some bites on this as well. Bass took it just as soon as it hit the bottom, and I went to lift it back up. I'm throwing a hair jig. So it's always nice to have that wind. Wind is a friend to bass fishing, particularly when you like to fish fast like I do. When the wind dies down, I'll slow it down, throw drop shots, Ned rigs, stuff like that. I'll still catch fish. It's not my favorite way to fish, but hey, the conditions are what they are, and I got to fish the way I got to fish. But this morning, and all the way up through mid-morning, I had some good wind. So I started out this morning with a half-ounce chatterbait. This is a little Z-Man, just original chatterbait, all white. I got a Zoom twin tail, little grub on there. And the reason for that is I was using these. These are by Big Bite Bait. I really like these, but the bass kept biting the tails off, so I had to switch tails, but these worked really good this morning. A good one here on a bladed jig. Got him right up off the edge of that rock. He missed it the first time. I stopped it, gave it a little pop, and he came right back and got it again. And then I switched to a little heavier one. I went to the Z-Man Original. This is the original, not the original, I'm sorry, this is called the Custom. This is the Z-Man Custom Chatterbait. Same trailer, same color. 15-pound test fluorocarbon, Seagar and Vizix, but a 5/8 ounce. I wanted a little bit heavier one because I wanted it to hit those rocks. I really wear out the heads of these chatterbaits because I'm always hitting rocks out here with it. If I'm in a lake with grass, I want to, skin the top of that grass, wood, whatever it is. I typically like for my chatterbait to hit something. Again, 15-pound test, Seagar and Vizix. And the one thing I would say about a chatterbait, guys, I still have met a lot of people that have never caught a bass on a chatterbait. They get frustrated because they lose bass. One of the reasons is you may be using too heavy of a rod. You need to treat a chatterbait like a regular crankbait, like a little square bill or some type of crankbait. You need a rod that has a lot of tip, okay? Because of that tip, you're gonna wind up hooking and catching more of your bass. They're gonna hang on to it better because what happens, they come in and they pull away. That soft tip gives them a chance to get hooked. If that tip is too rigid, you will lose a lot of fish that way. So I definitely recommend whatever rod you use to make sure it has a soft tip. This little Custom is one of my favorite ones, and what happened was the sun came out, but I still had wind. So I got in this real rocky area by this bluff wall and started getting bites there. There he came. He hit it, I stopped it, he came back for it. And that's how they'll attack these chatterbaits. Sometimes they'll come up and hit it, and then they'll stop it. What was happening to me earlier is they kept taking the tail off, so I had to switch tails because they were ripping the other tail off. You know, when it comes to a chatterbait, there's no wrong way to throw it. That's why I like them so much. My typical retrieve is just going to be a chuck and wind, trying to hit something on the bottom. But I will also take and rip my rod. So while I'm reeling that bait in, I'll rip it real quick. Just give it a little bit of movement or an erratic action. Sometimes I'll just stop the reel and the nose of that bait will dive. There's a number of ways, but again, if you've never caught a fish on a chatterbait, you just have to give it a chance. You got to throw it a lot. The right conditions. Wind, to me, is always the right condition for a chatterbait. But if you have wind and cloud cover, it's even better yet. Just match the color of whatever you're trying to look like. Out here, there's a lot of shad, so I just use the white or white and chartreuse. And if I'm trying to make it look like a bluegill, I'll just go green pumpkin. Those are really the only two colors I use. I might use a black and blue if I'm in real dirty, dark water. But other than that, just some kind of white, green pumpkin, and sometimes a black and blue. Those are the only colors that I ever use. You do not have to have a lot of colors. Now, as far as the blades, sometimes I'll use the silver blade, but a lot of times I will use the green pumpkin or black blade. I like those a lot too. So it just depends on where you're fishing, what kind of conditions you have, and you just kind of have to play around with a little bit to figure out what you like. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I enjoyed my morning out here, had a really good bite this morning, and then right around 9:30, 10 o'clock, which has been typical this summer, it really starts slowing down. I go ahead and take it in and head on home. Thanks for tuning in again. I'll talk to you next time.